thanks so much for joining us tonight. Especially, a lot of us have already done the back to school night rounds this week. I appreciate everybody making time to come out. My name is Crystal Paschal. I am serving as the president this year. I have Nora, Northview, and North Central. So my life is just like a parent square message. That's okay. I like to stay informed. So this first meeting tonight is going to be a little bit of me, and then a little me and some others, a little bit of you. So we are first going to hear from Dr. Taylor with some admin updates, just kind of a high level update of stuff that's going on since we were all together back in May. We're also going to hear from Mr. Turner from our school board about updates from his perspective and things going on in the district. I am going to talk a little bit about Parent Council Network, who we are, what we do, for those that may not be familiar, for those that you know, it'll be a nice review. And then we're going to spend some time, you will see on your tables some note cards and pencils. We're going to take a little time to hear from you all. This is the Parent Council Network, and so we want to know what parents are concerned about. We have our ideas, but we want to hear from you as well. So we're going to take some time towards the end of the meeting to take those index cards, and I want to hear your top 5. When you are thinking about school, stressing about school, worrying about your kids, what are the things you're worried about? And I don't want to, we'll talk more about it, but those don't have to be school specific. Sure, it can be, is the bus going to come in time, or is my student going to get good grades? But it can also be things like peer pressure, vaping, online safety, school safety in general, things like that. What are you as a parent concerned about right now, so we can make sure that we're addressing things that are relevant? And as I mentioned, we have a full agenda tonight, so I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Dr. Taylor, who's serving as our administrative liaison.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Sean Taylor, Assistant Superintendent, and welcome back to Parent Council Network for most of you. They're all familiar faces, and welcome to our new parents as well. Just a couple updates here this evening before I turn it over to Mr. Turner. First of all, one of our big successes this year has just been the changes that have gone into play for our transportation department. We've seen great improvements with on-time arrivals and dismissals in our schools, and I'm just really proud of the work of that team over at transportation this year. We've even gotten some feedback that we're getting to some spots too early, and so we'll take that. We can still work with that. And so there's still some nuances, as there will always be the case when it comes to transportation relative to some individual situations that we are always working through. Proud to say that we've had over 300 parent inquiries to our parent question concern form, and we've responded to 296 of those as our last check. And so I'm proud of that team for being as responsive as they can be for our parents in our community. Challenge right now that we're facing, as some of you know and have experienced, is we're still trying to work on the efficiencies for North Central parent arrival or parent drop-off and arrival there. I've become quite versed in that route myself. I followed Shelley a couple of times just because I want to make sure that we're being as efficient as we possibly can be and as creative as we can make that the most efficient process without jeopardizing safety as we can. And so we were off to a strong start. You know, we had some feedback that efficiency was worsening. So we have given some heightened awareness and attention to that this week. We made some light adjustments with light management. And so we're really encouraged for this week and what we're seeing with those results. And so we want to continue. We think there's some more tweaks we can continue to make with some efficiency there.
Is it being pushed through the whole year or just the beginning of the year?
So our plan is to make it just an issue right now. Yeah, that's the plan, to fix it right now, and we do think that there's opportunities in making better use of both those lanes more than we are right now, that we and the light management that we think is going to get families in and out campus pretty quickly. Construction. As you see, we have construction not only all over Marion County, where we have construction on several campuses. Right now, please report that construction progress is in great shape. We are on target to hit several of our deadlines. You can see coming in our early learning center, which is set for a transition middle of the year. And you can find out more information about other construction projects that are more pertinent to you specifically on our website. Under the operations division, under the services tab, you can get updates on where we are with those construction plans. From a human resources perspective, I know this time of year, it's always a big question about vacancies. How are we doing with vacancies? Right now, when it comes to certified teaching positions, we have around 10 vacancies right now. Those are not holes in classrooms, though, specifically. We do have staff who are on hold that are put in the notice, and they are transitioning out within like a 30-day timeline. So that doesn't mean we have necessarily a sub in those rooms. That teacher is still fulfilling that work. It's no surprise that those positions are heavily special education related. As you know, nationwide, that pipeline is a difficult pipeline to recruit from. And so we're trying to get as pretty as we can from a special services perspective in getting those vacancies filled. Back to school nights, I know it's already mentioned, some of you are already back to school night. We encourage our families to absolutely attend those events, our fall festivals, any of our showcases, to just get to know our educators, get to know other school community, family community members, because those are always great showcases for our students in our school community. We're just a reminder, questions and concerns this time of year that you have, really work with your building admin, your teachers. We really want to strengthen those homeschool partnerships right out of the gate as strong as we can. So get that communication flowing with those buildings. And then finally, I did set a stack of district newsletters on your tables. Those are just updates that are happening throughout the district relative to all the different areas, whether it's HR, whether it's construction. Regardless, you can find updates with student achievement in those newsletters. We also encourage you, if you have families who are considering Washington Township that you know of, please share those newsletters with them. Because we think it's a great education tool, a great promotion tool for all district matters for us. So with that, that's all that I have for this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Taylor. And I just want to remind everybody, you know, Dr. Taylor and also Dr. Luke are here tonight. Thank you very much. But if you have questions and concerns about those big district-wide issues like transportation, construction, maybe something gets brought up tonight that you want more clarity on, they are available to you. They have email addresses. They always get back to me in a timely fashion, and I'm sure they will as well. You know, kids come first, schools come first, but then they really do address parent concerns right away. So sorry, Dr. Woodson and Dr. Taylor, not to fill your inboxes anymore, but I just want to make sure that everybody understands that, like, these folks are accessible to you. Parents, you can reach out to them, and if they aren't the person that can help you meet your need, they can put you.
I should have shared. I have a stack of my business cards on this back table too. As you leave, if you want to take a business card, feel free. I've got my email on the phone.
Okay, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
You mentioned in the beginning of your talk about almost like customer service, right? You had parents writing or coming in. Where are those coming in? Are they just coming to you directly, or is there a helpline, or what?
So that is specific
okay. Okay.
That's an automated process where families who have questions. There's a team over at transportation.
Yeah.
That is.
But it was transportation specific is what you were referring to. Okay.
Yes.
Cool.
Awesome. Thank you, Dr. Taylor. I would also say for middle school parents, if you didn't get your Future Panther sign last night when you were at back to school night, make sure you grab one. Those are great to show your school pride in your yard. It's also a great recruiting tool to make sure you let all your neighbors know that you're proud. I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Turner now.
So good evening, everybody. Welcome to the school board. It's been a few years since I've been the liaison for a parent PCN. And so one of the things I did when I was part of the being liaison, and I'm assuming other board members did it the past few years. I like to come in and talk about things, let me set this up. How many of you actually have gone and sat through more than one school? Oh. You guys, I need to see. It must go at different. How many people listen to it or watch it on Spotify? That's good. All right. So then when you hear us talk about what our listening public, you hear the people talking, right? So what I like to do in here is that those meetings, if you stay through the whole thing, can sometimes be like, okay, this has got to end something. Because there's a lot of governance, a lot of things that you do to improve contracts, to improve things that the administration would like to do in the district. There's not a lot of exciting things or controversial things, you know, like COVID, you know, obviously things like that. So what I like to do when I come in here is kind of share more of, you know, I can only share in here what has happened. I can't come in and say the board is going to vote on this particular item unless the agenda is already out. I can't come in and say this is how we're going to vote. I can't do any of that. Right? That's just the way that's the way. But I can come in and talk about things we have done or things that we had to discuss in the school board meeting because we want to discuss. Obviously, it's public knowledge. So when I come up and when I come to these meetings, I will bring those types of items in. I won't go over like last week was mainly about the bond hearings. Again, I think that really interested in that. Feel free, and I'm sure Mrs. Smith would be happy to. But we do talk about different, like last week was really a lot of just technical things. We did a lot of administrative things last week. But the one topic I do want to bring in, and I could not get it over, I always like to bring in, if you don't attend our meetings, when we have our recognition, right? When we talk about the positive things. I'm a very positive message focused person. Anytime we can talk about something that's really good about the district, everybody can talk about something negative about the district. I'm not going to go with it. Doesn't mean I shy away from the tough issues or the controversial issues, but I like to share those our last week's recognition. But those that don't attend our meeting, we do that. First meeting of the month, we bring folks in and recognize them, whether they're students, parents, teachers, community members, etc. We bring those folks in to recognize good work, whether it's something they did in their school, or whether it's something that the community did with a school or some students. So those are the kind of things I will make sure I bring to the table for our meeting. I also bring in anything, I'll talk about anything that's like I said, that maybe need a little bit more information. And also, I don't want to take up the whole time, but I can also be here for certain questions. And if I can't give you the answer, I'll make sure I say that. Or if I need to go get the answer, I'll make sure I bring it back. So those are the kind of things that I like to do, being in this particular role, being in here with you. The other good thing about being in here as a liaison is I get to, after I sit down and be quiet, I get to hear what's going on and what the parents are saying firsthand. And that's all of what we're doing on the board. Listen to the parents, community, teachers, administration have to say, then weigh all those things and come out with the best possible plan based on what the administration provides. So, is there any quick questions? I think the biggest thing we're going to Dr. Taylor covered, the biggest thing that we were really concerned about this last board meeting was transportation. How we're doing, had a great report on transportation, how things are going, and Dr. Taylor mentioned, but compared, fairly speaking, those hiccups, I know it's going to affect those parents that have hiccups, but let parents do it. Right? So, Dr. Taylor, actually, again, I'll give you some credit this time. But Mrs. Smith kind of got us on that path. Dr. Taylor just took over to keep it going, but the staff and the transportation department did a great job of working through the kinks. I will share this. I think we talked about it before. Just so you understand, another piece of the transportation concerns or the transportation issue is the software that we use. And we're working on changing that, but it takes a minute to transfer that information, so we get it connected, or we're going to a better system, right? And so that will also, I think, Shelley asked a question about is it one, no. Somebody asked a question about is it on point, how long it's gonna be? I think those things will also help, the work that the transportation staff is doing, as well as the software, with their routing, et cetera. So with that, I won't go any further unless.
Is there still a focus on expanding the bus fleet? Because I feel the buses are running amazingly well, but our kids are also saying they're pretty crowded on the buses. And, you know, understandably, it's hard to hire bus drivers, but I just wanted to wonder if there's still that, still working on that in transportation, hiring additional bus drivers, and the lessons on.
Since school started, we've had what, +2, -5, something like that.
Yeah, we get like 3 in, we lose 1. I mean, yes, our goal is 150,
Okay.
and right now we're at 88. But we do have 6 that are somewhere in like our queue process, which means they're getting close to being CDL certified, or they're training, or they're actually really close to starting. So our goal this year was to change routing so that we routed for less drivers than we actually had, which increased ridership on our buses. But it's also allowed us, when we have call outs and things like that, we've got a little bit of a buffer for some people that can help cover routes, and we've eliminated 1+1s, with the exception of one school that's not really a 1+1 situation there. It's a double route that have to happen right now. But our goal is 150. We will be working. If we could get to 100, I think we would all feel a difference, because those routes could then be adjusted because of the added flexibility that approximately 12 more drivers will bring. So I think that that's not an unrealistic goal to get to 100. 115 might is probably.
I'm gonna apologize right out the gate if this is answered in a board meeting. I committed to myself to review or actually be at more board meetings this year. And so, this is a repeat. There's been a lot of talking about since the Dr. PPR resigned and the decision to contract with Emily Hills through the semester. So I was just curious if you could walk us through the process of bringing her on board for that, and when the contract ends, if there is, if you'll be pursuing someone who has a background and expertise in DEI to contract with.
I can start it like this. So, yes, we voted for that particular contract, but it's set up for right now, it's 6 months. In that interim piece, if I think you go out soon, will be a job posting for that role. In the event that we cannot find somebody by the end of the contract, we would extend 6 more months to the end of the year. But the intent is to try to find somebody. It was kind of, this bill, had been a part of the work before, so it's kind of, make sure we kind of continued it, but at the same time, looking for something.
Thank you.
Is there a way that I can go to opt out of being on the bus route? I know last year I had transportation. And I don't know if I'm unique in the situation that we were literally the only family in our neighborhood that had kids going to North Central. And the bus comes by our house every day. It seems like it would be beneficial for you to eliminate bus routes for people who do have student drivers.
Your Skyward registration, when I go in as a parent to do the data cleanup, I can denote that I don't need transportation. We also did a survey at the end of the year that just email Dr. Taylor direct your address, and we make sure that that's taken out, because that does help with fraud efficiency.
We're also doing ridership counts starting this week. So students who do not ride for 10 consecutive days this week.
Last year.
Yeah.
After a while, I gave up and then still came. And 9 years today. It's not like there's another kid down the street in front of our house in the middle school.
Try.
There was, one question over here. What behind you? She raised her hand.
You said you're switching to a different routing system. It's not gonna be Alpha route or whatever they use in Louisville, right?
No, I don't think
No,
so.
that's a disaster. I don't think he'll be in business much longer.
No, I think one more that one. Anybody can email, any question, have any comment, email.
I actually had two, one was, earlier this, and then, Dr. Ted was speaking about, the vacancies, and I think transportation kind of triggered it again for me, but, said vacancies, there are about 10, certified teacher, vacancies. And I just was wondering, is there like an ideal class size that you guys are going for at every school level, and how is that being affected because there's other vacancies? That's question one. And then I was just piggybacking off of Carla's question in terms of maybe the qualifications that will be looked for that DEI person that can really dedicate their Indian time, since that was such a big thing for our district that families really wanted to see.
So Dr. Phil, let you take the piece and anyone else.
Yeah, so as far as class size, great question. Those class sizes, we do have guidelines that we put classes on our radars, and those are different by level. And so the current vacancies right now have not impacted those because we haven't collapsed sections, with the exception of when we have class sizes that are extremely low. Right now, we didn't see a whole lot of, let's close this entire section of high school French or whatever.
I'm sorry, I'm mainly thinking about elementary.
Yeah.
It seems like fifth grade, they're missing a fifth grade teacher. They're all at 30 or 29 or 30, and I wasn't sure if that was like an ideal number, or if if there was someone that said, hey, I'm a fifth grade teacher, I'm qualified, and they were in there, how would that change?
I do an enrollment in class size review every single Friday for the first 6 weeks of school. And so we've done 2 of those reviews. We'll have another one this Friday. The enrollment, however, fluctuates widely during this first time of the year. Your particular class, you may not have felt that, but for instance, transportation added 700 routes Monday that have joined us since the first day of school. So enrollments fluctuate a wide range this first couple of weeks. So as things settle in, we do make decisions based on high and low numbers as we do those weekly reviews.
And so there's probably not an ideal number, or is that an ideal number for 29?
I think it ideal depends upon support. We have guidelines that we have established that if it's higher than this, we're gonna have a conversation at these grade levels, and if it's lower than this, then we're gonna have a conversation. But an optimal number truly is dependent on the makeup of the class, the supports that are in that class, other adults that help out in that class. There's a wide range of factors that create an optimal class environment. It could be a optimal class at 12 kids, and that's a maximum of optimal. Mr. Dean may have some of those classes, that's optimal for the needs in that classroom. Others, it could be 28, and the needs are being met with supports and other things that are coming in or out of that classroom. So it's very complex and it's not popular.
Exactly what this is.
Does that mean that if a kiddo has been denied access to a class because there's reviews, it would be worth reaching out and see if opening occurs? I was told that class size was too big, so there was no ability to move classes. If they're being reassessed and maybe somebody drops that class, is it worth reaching out at the high school level?
Yeah, I don't know the complexities of that. They do class schedule changes. I think it ended Wednesday. So there is a settlement of kids in classes, I don't know the details of the counseling decisions on kids and outs, and once you choose out what the time frame is. Then there are restrictions based on criteria for high school courses, so I just wonder,
You know, the second part of the question.
You, no, go ahead.
Second question.
Oh,
Dr. Kaiser had built out what that person could or should look like, what that position should be. And once the job description is finalized, they'll be able to post that. So you can see what they're involved.
Is there not any changes or was
No,
there
easy way to think of it is same expectations we have.
Okay, so the.
And I can
description
share
was
with
fine.
you that the current consultation is a direct cut and paste from the expectations that we had prior. It's just obviously not administrative roles as a consultant, so administrative duties have been removed, but the DEI work is a cut and paste of what Dr. DBR had as DEI work.
Yes.
I just wanted to say, a lot of parents have talked to us as a board and said, well, what's the plan? We don't know what the plan is. And we sort of like, well, there's a district plan and it's reviewed frequently. Lots of performance measures, lots of goals, lots of questions from the school board. And so I wanted to give you an opportunity. I don't want you to tell us the plan because we can all go online and look for it. But I guess just what is it in general? And should we be paying attention to that as parents?
So if you're talking about the strategic.
Yes,
plan,
the district strategic
So
plan.
this is strategic plan, obviously it's on the website, have to go check it out, but whenever we have our quality assurance reviews or different department heads like teaching and learning, et cetera, come in and report out what's happening, they go, it's tied directly to the strategic plan. So whatever the goal measurement is, every goal that we have basically has equity to it, whether it's lowering discipline, whether it's graduation rates, whether it's access to different things, it's all in the plan. But every time somebody reports out about how we're doing within the administration, they tie it directly to it. So if you ever see on the agenda about QARs, using information items on our agenda, they actually talk about how they're meeting metrics. And those metrics are in the plan. Like the achievement levels of students. All those things are built in. We have a target, then we shoot for that target. I'll say one more thing. The only thing we did, it's a little off a little bit because of the 5-year plan. We adjusted it because of COVID. But we couldn't hold education teachers go with the students round. So we held it harmless that year, but it added another year to this. I'll take the last one.
Well, yeah, and this might be regarding AD, what are you guys doing to retain or kind of find those lost students or people who are kind of attrition through the district, student attrition, enrollment attrition? And like, I know that I heard you say enrollment or stuff like that, but what activities is the school administration doing to like retain, I guess, students or find those lost students who enroll and never show up?
I have a 17-page action plan. But it's, we had an enrollment advisory group that met all of last year. And from that advisory group, we have a long list of action plans, strategies that we're putting in place. Some are longer term, some are short term, some involve consultation from enrollment strategists like CASA K-12, who their sole job is to recruit and retain. So it's a wide range of strategies that we have in place and will be putting in place. I will share with you, however, as frustrating as it is that we are declining in enrollment and some of the public rhetoric, we think, oh, it's because they're bashing public schools or because of this and because of that. I do want to share with you that we just concluded this past spring a full demographic study in Washington Township schools, which has nothing to do with the view or perception of public education or how we're doing with our constituents. solely to do with birth rates, households, who lives where in Washington, and that 100% is going to be declining in K-12 age students. So without any PR involved, we are going to decline just because birth rates are taking a significant decline, and because of economy, people are not moving. They're staying in their homes, it's not being refreshed with families, empty nesting, and they're staying, and so all of those factors do say for the next decade. And so we are going to experience a decline from both our demographer and our current realities and impacts on COVID. So I just wanted to share that as far as rationale and reason, but we've got a whole action plan on trying to do what we can. The posters that were mentioned, the yard signs, that's one of those efforts on that long strategic plan of actions. It's just branding. You see yard signs in other people's yards, and I'm a future whomever. I wanted people in this community to see a plethora of the future Panther. So we're working on it. We had some parents as a part of that committee. Washington County Schools Foundation was a part of that committee. School folks were part of that advisory committee. So we're working on it.
We're good. I will say, guys, that as much as I told you, you guys could reach out to Dr. Woodson and Dr. Taylor. We elected Mr. Turner, so his job is the right for the same. So please, if you have more to say, you can reach out via email. I know over the years I've emailed with folks on the board, they've asked me for coffee to discuss specific issues. They are elected officials, they work for you, you pay their school board salaries, so take advantage of that. And I will also just put a little bug in your ear that if you are really into this stuff, you as a parent can be a school board member. Parents may have school board members, and I'm sure that Mr. Turner would be more than happy to talk to you about his experiences and how that works as well. So, all right. So thank you, everybody. Before we jump in, I do want to recognize that are here. We have Laura Vanderhagen and Anthony Dean for Washington Township teachers, and also members of the. And we really appreciate them both for all that they do in the classroom and then all that they do outside of that, working with WTPCN, and also for being here tonight as well. We know your schedules are full, and they come here because they want to be here and they want to hear what's going on and what parents are concerned about. And I really appreciate you guys being here with the time. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what is a parent conference. So are we a PTO or? And the answer is we are not. And why not? PTOs by definition are composed of parents, teachers, and staff that are intended to facilitate further participation in an individual. So you guys are all familiar with this concept. We all have kids in school. All of our schools have kids. You guys know that. If some of you are involved in your school PTOs, I know as well. So are we a PAC or a political action committee? We are not a political action committee. And that's because we are not political in nature. We don't raise money to influence elections. We don't get involved in partisan politics. We don't do any kind of election work at the federal level, raising our campaign. So what are we? We've been a district-wide group of parents for over 65 years. From 1953 to 1989, we were called the planning committee. Then we were the parents advisory committee. Then we were just the parent council. Then we So parent council network is a 501c4 social welfare organization. So we're focused on the common good, specifically in public education is common good, and the general community. We are an independent, nonpartisan group of parent and caregiver advocates and MSTWT students who represent a diverse community in Indianapolis, and we believe that quality public education is an investment. So our mission is to represent in a district-wide voice to the educational interests of families and to strive to enhance the quality of public education. Our core beliefs are that our highest priorities are our children and their education. Shelley on our board is fond of asking, how does this help kids? And we try to keep that at the center of all that we do, think about, and talk about. We value public education in our community public schools. We believe that parents have a right to meaningful participation in the process of public education. We believe that diverse parent leadership, talent, influence, and perspective are vital to excellent education. And we believe that the community that we live in, Washington Township, values and supports public schools. And we have two types of members. We have ad hoc members. Essentially, if you are a parent or a caregiver with a child in your care that attends a Washington Township school, we consider you part of us. If you didn't know it, you were part of us. And that includes folks that live out of district, it's in their kids' Washington for whatever reason. If your child is in Washington Township, we consider you a part of us, and we consider ourselves a resource that is available to you. Even if you've never attended a meeting before, if there's something that the parent council can assist with, we're going to do that. If we're not the ones who can assist you, we can probably help you find the right resource. We also have voting members. We ask our voting members to register each school year. We moved that sign up to online. We started that during the COVID years when everything was online, and we've continued to keep it that way. We ask that voting members commit to attending 5 out of our 9 meetings. Registration is first come, first serve. If voting member spots fill up, it's first come, first serve. That is a problem we would love to have, but at this point in time, we have plenty of room for voting members to join us. And voting members can vote on PCN business, including school board candidate and dismissed. The biggest things that we vote on yearly, we vote on our board slate, and then in election years, we vote on school board candidate. We'll talk a little bit more about that. If you look on your table, you'll see a QR code, and that will take you to our sign-up form if you're interested in being a voting member. We highly encourage you to fill that out. So the voting member structure is that we have 10 parents per each elementary school, 12 parents per each middle school, and 24 high school parents that make up 130 possible voting members. If you have kids at various schools, you can sign up for your choice. Again, while I would love to do a sales pitch and tell you spots are going fast, sign up now. We have lots of spots. Tell your friends. Our activities, these 3 job descriptions have remained the same throughout our organization. We ask voting members to attend the monthly meetings as much as they're able to. We encourage everyone to serve on a committee, and we'll talk a little bit more about this. And during even numbered years, PCN voting members are included in the nonpartisan screening process and endorsing school board candidates. We have 4 pillars that support our mission right here. We seek to inform and empower parents by providing objective and pertinent information regarding our schools. We seek to collaborate with parents and educators to maintain the quality and highlight the diversity in our schools. We want to influence the future of public education in our school district by involving parents in public policy. And we want to advocate for all students in our district by electing school board members that we as parents feel will move our. And I will say, especially on the collaborate piece, we definitely want to collaborate with parents, our educators, our administrators, our school board. We also are blessed to live in a city and an area where we have a lot of really great community partners. And so when it makes sense, we're going to collaborate with those folks who are experts in their fields to come inform us, help us grow, help us learn, help us be better parents. So we inform by facilitating understanding and discussion during meetings on various critical topics, such as, and you can see the list, I will make you listen to you. But we've talked about a lot of things. We've talked about discipline and equity and how that affects all students, particularly students of color. We've had special meetings around school safety. What does that mean in school? What can we do at home to keep our schools safer? We've talked about parents topics that parents are concerned about, things like cybersecurity, our education pathways. Of course, we talk about school board and better school board candidates. We've had special conversations around special needs and what that looks like and how we can make that more equitable. And we talk quite a lot about what's going on at the state level. We are a nonpartisan organization, but we do realize that politics directly affects public schools and ultimately our kids. And so we make it our business to know what is going on and share that with all of you, so we can make the right decisions about who we elect and make maybe the phone calls that we need to make to share our feelings about what's happening in the schools. Here's just an image from our school safety meeting that we had a few years ago. I can disclose that this has already been a hot topic for a lot of parents, and maybe due to be having this discussion. And image from Project Cybersafe, and they came to speak with us. Shots of our meeting. We also want to go down, we've gone beyond the headlines to talk about critical issues such as the achievement gap, and we've had interactive workshops on equity, and we've had some courageous conversations. We have had conversations and presentations on district rebalancing, school hours, construction updates. If you guys remember the referendum that happened a few years ago, parent council was one of the first documents was like, one of those things that parents get informed about. Why another referendum? Why are we doing this? What does it entail? What is it? We're after shots. And we also like to talk about Washington Township points of pride. We are doing some great things in this district. We're seeing a lot of growth. We have kids that are really succeeding, and we want to make sure that we're celebrating these things. We also talk a lot about the state of public education in Indiana. We've shown some important documentaries around that topic. And we try to have a presence and outreach within the district and with the general public. So we are online. You'll see us at homecoming. You'll see us at the Great North Run. You may see us at other school events throughout the year. We collaborate by doing our committee work. We've had committees over on various topics over the years, including things like public policy, which is a standing committee for us. We've talked about dress code. We've talked about recess. We've talked about sustainability. We've collaborated with teachers and staff and found ways to support them. In fact, one of my favorite memories is having lunches one weekend at Westlake, so we can facilitate our teachers going down to the State House to yell for their points. We're very proud of them, and it was a joy to be able to do that. We've also collected school supplies. We share every Friday on our Facebook page. We highlighted Donor Student Project in Washington Township. We call it $5 Friday. We hope that if everybody chips in $5, we can get some of those projects fully funded. And we have a really awesome school foundation that is often matching donations to them. And we've done book drive collections to support our school social workers with diverse books that they can share with the students. We've had panels and forums with different teachers and administrators where we can hear their viewpoints and what's happening in the classroom to better tell us than our teachers. We've had public school advocates to give us a statewide view of what's happening and where things are going. We've even had the state superintendent of public instruction, now gubernatorial candidate, join us. And we've even presented at the Network for Public Education National Conference. We seek to influence by meeting with legislators to discuss issues important to public education. We'll have some opportunities to do that coming up very soon. So if that's something you're interested in, Shelley and Carla are your people to connect with. We host a legislative forum meeting every year. This year's meeting will be in October, and that's where you can ask the questions of the folks that are representing you at the city and state level. We have a legislative update every January where we take a look at the proposed laws and discuss how those affect both public education as a whole and Watford Township in particular. Sorry, there's lots of Zoom shots from the past couple of years. I know those are very exciting. We visit the State House. We testify on education bills. We won't make you do that, but if you're willing, we'll do that. And we advocate. We form a school board candidate committee every election year. It's usually about 12 parents. It's a cross section of our district. We look at diversity, both racial and economic diversity, school diversity, students diversity, to build a really nice representation of everybody that's in our district. We ask for board candidates to fill out an application to receive our endorsement, and we interview those folks. And then we will endorse a candidate for each open position based on the committee recommendation. That's usually something that will happen at the beginning of the school year, but the State House was a curveball this year, and they moved the filing date for school board election candidates to file. So this process will be actually happening this spring before we leave this summer. So if you're interested in participating in that committee, let us know. Again, if you're running for, let us know. And thank you to our parents and caregivers for lending their time, research, and experience in service for future students and youth. We've had the joy of partnering with so many of you over the years, and we are really thankful. Our board of directors for 2023-24, immediate past president, Brian Henry, he is retired from the school parent life, but he still joins us, and we're thankful for that.
There he is, he's in the hallway.
Thanks.
One foot out the door, literally.
Our treasurer, Caroline Hensky, secretary, Taryn Greaser, vice president of development, Stacey Studeville, vice president of communications, Beth Boyer. Kelly is not on our board anymore. I just didn't get the PowerPoint updated correctly. But we have VP of operations and our public policy committee co-chairs, Shelley and Carlos. And then we also have an ad hoc committee chair. Dues are voluntary. Optional dues help us pay for just keeping the lights on in this place. Our annual website bill, our dues account, QuickBooks. If we ever want to promote a post on social media, and any outreach activities. Nobody here at Parent Council is getting rich. We just ask if you are able to make a donation. It does help us keep moving forward. We meet, our board meets generally the first Wednesday of every month. Membership, that's you all. We meet the third Wednesday of every month. Our school board, generally, if there's not a conflict, we meet on the second and fourth Wednesday of the month, and we try to have folks from our board attend those as they're available. And generally we meet here in person, although we're going to be changing up our location a few times this year. So stay tuned. That's both out of necessity because we do have some nights where we conflict with other activities in this building. But also there's really cool, pretty new things that we're building that we want you guys to see. So it's our hope to have a meeting at our Hilltop Early Childhood facility later this year, so everyone can see that. Maybe even a trip over to the new Northview if that's available for us. So really cool opportunities to see what's going on in those new buildings, particularly if you don't. So volunteering with us, we would love to have you. We just you guys can read all of this. I can just say that volunteering with Parent Council Network has been so helpful for me because raising kids is scary and it's hard, and there are all these things you never thought you were going to have to deal with that you have to deal with. And knowing the resources available to you as a public school parent, I think is so helpful. And being involved in Parent Council has helped me know what's available to me, and it's also helped me have a voice in what is becoming. I know what my kids struggle with and what they do. I I'm excited that I get to have a voice in working with other people that care about me. So, that's my spiel about parent council. Does anybody have any questions? Yes, ma'am. Yeah, board members stand up, they say hello. We had a couple of board members who were ill and couldn't make it tonight, but if you're on the board, please stand.
Well, and one moved,
Yeah.
she had to move, so,
Yeah.
she moved out of town, so that's that open president position, that's there, but.
Sorry.
I'm Carla Schmidt. I can go to Wesleyan and Crooked Creek, and I'm also a teacher at Crooked Creek, and we're excited to work on public policy this year. As you can see, we are a skeleton crew, so if you are at all interested in any of these topics, please pop over, say hey. You don't have to start out being interested. And I do want to say too, if anybody's new, this is our like FAQ meeting. Most meetings, the format is a hot button issue or an interesting, like something that people have lots of questions about, and then there is time for what we kind of did a little bit of tonight. So I think that's exciting. I hope you find that exciting. Happy to see everybody, but please jump in if you're interested at all.
I just read communications, so I'm trying to make sure everybody knows what meetings are happening with me and what's going on at parent council and getting people out. I have two kids at North Central, and future tenants through West. Very frequent. I have a senior sophomore and then a sixth grader at Wesleyan. And I am secretary, so I keep track of attendance and not voting membership spreadsheet. So a little time goes by and I keep coming to the meeting, but I don't see your name pop up on there. Sorry. Consider anyone.
Oh, Brian Henry, a media past president, thanks for the pizza. So, I used to do it in Chicago.
Shelley Clark, I have a senior at North Central and a 2022 graduate who's starting her sophomore year at IU. So I am an older veteran parent who's kind of aging out here, and I will be chairing this year co-chairing with Carla, the public policy activities as it relates to the State House, to our legislators, all those, the legislative forum, those types of things that we have coming up, so.
And as I mentioned, I'm Crystal. I have a first grader at Nora, a seventh grader at Northview, and a freshman. Probably brought up, most meetings are not like this. You don't have to listen to me talk all year long, I promise. But I did kind of want to share some things that we have coming up at this semester to kind of let you know where we're going. As I mentioned, our legislative forum is happening in October. That's one of my favorite meetings of the year because we get to hear from the folks who are representing us. I think it's really cool. Some of those folks that are at the State House on our behalf are also Washington Township parents, that they bring that perspective. But we get to hear from everyone. This year is an election year, so it's just going to be those folks that are holding office. But it is an election year at the city level, and we're going to invite those folks as well and see what they have to say about education. I can also tell you that I'm not sure yet if it's going to be our September meeting or our November meeting. It depends on their availability, but we've invited the Indiana ACLU to come share with us about a couple of topics. There has been some recent legislation that has been passed around some things like what can be taught in school around relationships and families. There have also been some laws being passed around things like calling students certain names or using certain pronouns with students and how all of that works. I've heard friends in other districts say that they have had to move heaven and earth to be allowed to have their son named Benjamin called Ben in class, because that's a different name from their given name. This legislation is passed. We're really trying to play by the book. So we're going to invite them in to answer any questions that you all have about those things and what that means for students. And they're also going to educate us on what are our First Amendment rights as parents and as students. And when can we know whether either legislation or rules are conflicting with those rights? They're a really great group. As I mentioned, we've had folks that have had an interest in school safety and security. it's a hot topic right now. I know it's something I'm thinking about all the time, and so we are considering the best way to address that topic, while talking about things at the district level, but then also the greater picture as parents, what can we do? But again, we want to hear from you. That's why we have these cards on the table. So I'm going to encourage you to take one. You write more than 5 if you want. You can write less than 5. But I'm asking for the top 5 things you're thinking about and you want to hear about as parents. We have more little pencils and more cards if you need them. So feel free to share all of those things. Yes, ma'am. Yeah. That is on our website, it's mscwtparentcouncil.org. You should know that. Yeah. So that's it. Yeah. Yeah. Parentcouncil.org. And school classes have donations. So we'll all be around. I don't have any really nice things today to wrap this up. So please, when you're done with your cards, you can bring them to me. And the next board meeting that we have with the board, we're going to be going through those and looking for those common threads, what are people concerned about? Because we don't always know. Maybe we talked about something every year. We assume we're sick of it. But no, you want to be talking about it. Maybe there's things that we've never considered, but it's something that you all care about. So we want to hear all of these things.
And those things become, if they're, if it's district-wide, for the bigger picture items, sometimes we created a committee to work on those issues. For example, what was the most recent threat code? We've done teacher care, consumer support, we've done a variety of, what was that? Reasons. Oh, reset, yeah, and public policy is a planning committee. So a lot of times when we have time at the end of these meetings, we'll break out into committees, depending on what those.
Well, thank you, everybody.